Now, let's start with today's topic, because now that we've started the peace campaign, we've had so many people, millions around the world, who've already started also working on the peace campaign, meditating. The question is, we've dipped our feet in the ocean of peace. How do we keep this peace present in our lives every day? This is the question we're going to talk about today. Because it's good to start something, but how do you sustain it? And how do you carry it with you all your life? So how can we make peace a constant part of our lives? And I will share a technique with you today, and then we will do a meditation together of that technique, short technique. So let's look at all the practical steps we can take to maintain ongoing peace in our being each day. We have to start by taking charge of our complete state of being, internally and externally. Now, what is a complete state of being? Most published literature describes state of being in multiple compartments, state of this, state of that, state of that. For example, the physical state of being. You will find the literature talk about the physical state of being of your car. What does that mean? It is the condition as you see your car physically. Now, we all know about physical state of being. And our body also has a physical state of being, how we appear, what we look like. I mean, lots of people are so committed to maintaining good, healthy, and attractive physical state of being. Everyone wants to look good, and that's wonderful. But we can see the physical state of being. And this has been the case historically in our world up to today, where human beings have gone to great lengths to look good, to look attractive. And I think we'll continue to do so in the future. And in fact, the key is that we find validation in physical looks and appearances, because we see, we appreciate, we recognize. Now, as a side comment, I'm relatively new to some of the social media channels like Instagram, for example. I'm always learning. And when I browse Instagram and look at the endless pictures of people trying to project their most beautiful physical expressions, I say to myself, physical state of being is such a prime validator for each person, on media or off social media. Sometimes on social media, I see people's dressing get more and more skimpier as they show off how good their bodies look. I see a change from how people got validation from their looks in the past when I was growing up. I suppose when I was growing up, physical contact with people was the main way of presenting yourself. Today we can present ourselves without physical contact, so we can be bolder with our expressions. Just an interesting observation with respect to how expression of our physical state of being is evolving so rapidly. The expression of it, but the reality is there with us. So the key message here is that physical state of being is a prime validator for us, and we invest time, effort, money, and all resources in looking our best. Okay, so we understand this compartment of physical state of being. Now, the next compartment of state of being is our mental state of being, which is basically the state of our mind. And that you add emotional state of being, which goes hand in hand with state of mind. So you're looking at state of mind and emotions together, but they are invisible. So how do we express that? It is not like your physical state of being that you can express quite freely. So for the purpose of our discussion today, we will combine mind and emotions into one and call it state of mind. So I'll avoid having to keep repeating myself. But most of us are less aware of our state of mind because we are simply experiencing life through this state of mind, So a simple analogy is watching a movie in the theater while wearing 3D glasses. Without the glasses, the movie appears flat in 2 dimensions. With the glasses, you can see the movie in 3 dimensions. I'm sure you've all experienced that. And then you can play with the colors of your 3D glasses. Or you can alter and refine the experience of the movie further. So state of mind and emotions is a bit like those 3D glasses. Life is the movie, and we are looking at it through the 3D lenses of the mind. But really being aware of the actual state of the 3D glasses themselves. What condition are these 3D lenses in? Are the lenses clear or foggy? What colors are we using with them? And what do they mean? What do these colors mean? We're too engrossed by looking through the lenses rather than with the lenses or at the lenses. Looking through something is very different to looking at something with or looking at something. So when it comes to our state of mind and emotions, we're all accustomed to viewing life through these 3D lenses of the mind. Hence, we have no control over these lenses or over our mind itself. We did not come in this world with no ability to govern the tools through which we experience life. We are all born with the full ability to use and govern our tools and govern our state of being. But we seem to have lost this ability somewhere along the way. And of course, the reasons are quite obvious. Now, what are these tools that I'm talking about? There are three. The first is the physical state of being, which we just discussed. The second is the mental and emotional state of being, which is not visible and also something that we are not directly aware of all the time. And then there is the spiritual state of being, which is even more abstract for most of us. So the spiritual state of being is the state of our soul or our higher self, a very powerful and empowering state because it engages with our intellect, which in turn enlightens and inspires the mental and emotional state, as well as heals and strengthens the physical state. When you combine them all together, the physical state of being, the mental and emotional state of being, and the spiritual state of being, all three, you get the complete state of being, which each one of us is blessed with. So the question is, what are we doing with this blessing? How are we putting it to its essential use? I often ask myself, we were born with the reins of our state of being in our hands, just like the rider has the reins of his or her horse. Why did we give up these reins so quickly and forget that they even exist? Why did we let ourselves get pushed by circumstances into living like dust particles spiraling in a cyclone with no control? Why? Why did we allow ourselves to absorb so much negativity and inputs of fear and anger by our media or governments or powers that be? After all, we're not slaves. We are masters in our own right. We are masters of our own lives. We are masters of our individuality. We are masters of our honor and masters of our complete state of being, all those three elements I talked about. And yet we find ourselves in such a helpless state. How is that so? But the good news is we can change all that starting now. We can take control of our complete state of being, which includes our body, our mind, our emotions, and our higher self. We can take control of it all starting today by using our power of thought. We can create highly powerful thoughts, each one of us, and anchor them in our body, mind, and intellect, which links, our intellect links directly to our all-empowered soul and life energy. So we have these tools. We have the ability to create these powerful thoughts. We have the ability to anchor them. Let's start with what is this? What are these powerful thoughts? What is this thought? It is a thought that permeates our entire state of being. A thought that defines how we are and how we feel. A thought that defines what we wish to achieve. And this thought is called the foundation thought. The foundation thought. It is a thought that becomes the foundation on which our complete state of being gets based. And we can anchor this foundation thought to our body and mind and higher self. And that's the technique we're going to learn in some detail today. And let us say we wish to anchor a foundation thought in our complete state of being. How do we do it? We start by choosing the foundation thought. That's very important. And there we have to use our intelligence. And this foundation thought could be, for example, peace. It could be oneness, abundance, gratitude, clarity, hope, love, confidence, security, and lots more. So these are foundation thoughts that we can anchor. Now, after choosing the foundation thought, we then have to energize this thought. We have to raise its vibration. We have to put power in it. So let's say we choose the foundation thought of oneness. How do we energize this thought of oneness? So let's go through the process. So first we start by focusing deeply on the thought of oneness. We contemplate oneness at a fundamental level by asking the question, what is oneness? So we put that question in our minds. What is oneness? One answer is, oneness is a wholesome unity of everything. Okay? A wholesome unity of everything. That's what our answer is in our contemplation. We all will have different answers. But let's say this is the answer. And then we proceed to explore this wholesome unity. We begin to visualize ourselves, all our fellow beings, all our fellow creation, all of nature and the universe coming together as one single oneness. So as we start visualizing everything coming together as one single oneness, this oneness is strong and completely undividable, held together by the powerful force of creation, the force of life, the force of love. This oneness is filled with love that binds us with everything. So as we contemplate at this level, we are putting our highest energy in the word oneness, thus raising its vibration level. As we have discussed vibration level in previous webinars, you're all familiar with it, but when we have positive, uniting, nurturing thoughts, their vibration level is very high. When we have negative, destructive thought, the vibration level is very low. So by this contemplation, we raise the vibration level of the word oneness because we now engage with it, and through this contemplation, we have begun to know, feel, and embrace the foundation thought of oneness. We have now begun to internalize it, and once you internalize it, we are empowered beings. That word oneness gains its higher vibration. So that's step 2. Think of the thought. What thought? Choose the thought. And secondly, energize it. Next, we create step 3. We create the intention of anchoring our entire state of being into this oneness. Intention is a very powerful thing. When we place a highly energized foundation thought in our intention, it gains the power to manifest into exactly what our intention seeks to manifest. So when you place that highly energized thought into your intention, it gains the power to manifest. And this is how we do it, through power of intention. You can manifest through power of intention. So let me recap the steps so far so we don't miss anything. We choose the foundation thought. We energize it through contemplation and internalization. So now it has a high vibration. Then we place this powerful thought into an intention. So now the intention too has a high vibration of that thought. And by this point, we have gained the power to manifest the thought of oneness. With these 6 steps, we can actually manifest anything we seek to manifest. As a side observation, most of us have come across the power of manifestation in books, self-development programs, videos like The Secret and other similar publications, which while sometimes being sensational for marketing purposes, they do provide useful insights into the subject. So our underlying power of manifestation in essence lies in these 6 steps I've just shared with you. So now, it doesn't matter how it gets packaged for public consumption, it's those 6 steps. Anything you wish to manifest, follow that. Choose what you wish to manifest. Choose the thought. Energize it. Place it in the intention. Now the intention is really powerful, as within the steps I just explained. And that's how you manifest. Now, how do we place this powerful intention and thought of the oneness into our complete state of being? How do we take that something that's so powerful and make it part of our state of being? So we do that by the final step, which is to anchor this powerful foundation thought into our intellect. We anchor it into our intellect. Now, why anchor it in the intellect? Because the intellect is the highest level of our mind. As we have learned before in previous webinars many times, if we look at our mind, we have the lower level mind, which helps us, which has enough intelligence to help us make decisions that sustain us through life. So, I'm hungry, I make a decision to go to the fridge to pick up something to eat, I eat, I'm satisfied, I'm sustained. That's what the lower level mind does. It provides intelligence and thoughts that help us sustain ourselves. Then there is the higher level mind, where more complex decisions are made. Higher level of intelligence exists there. But the higher level mind also has a limit or ceiling in its intelligence level. Now, in the higher level mind, we make bigger decisions. Where do we live? How do we plan our careers? How do we deal with our investments? So we take lots of inputs to make very important life decisions. That happens in the higher level mind. But there's a limit to the intelligence of the higher level mind. And some people have a higher ceiling, they're more intelligent, they appear more intelligent. Some have a lower ceiling. But the bottom line is that the higher level mind has a ceiling or a limit of intelligence. So lower level mind and higher level mind. So even when we develop artificial intelligence, for example, and our robots begin to think and evolve, they too will reach a ceiling similar to the way the higher level mind reaches a ceiling, just like us. So the next level above, beyond the higher level mind, is the intellect. And this is the most powerful level of our being while we live in this material world, because it is the gateway to infinite intelligence that resides in our higher self or soul. So we got finite intelligence up to the higher level mind, and then you cross the intellect and it's infinite. So our body with a lower and higher level mind are finite in intelligence. They have a ceiling. But when you reach intellect, it has no ceiling. The intelligence is limitless. So as beings, we have finite intelligence, but also have access to infinite intelligence through our intellect, which is why so many faiths teach us to use our intellect, to live in our intellect, to cultivate our intellect, because that's the gateway to intelligence that has no limit. And we live, an active connection where inspirations come from the infinite intelligence and flow down and fertilize our higher and lower level minds. So when we anchor a foundation thought in the intellect, it becomes highly empowered and it permeates our being with strength and certainty. and it becomes a real and true anchor. Now, while we were discussing the mind, let us also cover the emotional body very quickly, because the emotional body is the center from where emotions are released, which then flow into the lower and higher level mind, triggering responses based on the energy of the emotion. So we can consider the emotional body as being part of the lower and higher level mind in order to keep things simple. So in summary, let us think of the mind as a pyramid. A pyramid. The base of the pyramid is the lower level mind. On it sits the higher level mind that gets sharper as you go up the pyramid as a result of wisdom and experience. Then the intellect is the fine point at the top of the pyramid. And above the top of the pyramid is the universe, which is infinite. And for our purpose of understanding, we can think of the infinite universe as the soul or the higher self. So the intellect is the gateway to the lower and higher level mind, downwards, and the soul and higher self upwards. It's quite easy to visualize now if you think of it as a pyramid, which makes the intellect the perfect place to anchor our powerful thought and intention of oneness. Next question is, how do we anchor this thought in our intellect? How do we do it? We do it through a meditative process, because meditation helps us build a bridge between our body and all its cells, and our mind and our intellect, all the way to the higher self. So meditation is that bridge. The process of meditation is simple, and we have all practiced it many times together, and as we have grown as a group spiritually, our meditations have gotten deeper and more complex. And I think when we get to stage 10 of the soul, I think that meditation is going to be something truly remarkable. So we have grown in meditation. But today we are going to look at a specific application of our meditation, which is anchoring our foundation, thought, and intention. That's the purpose of meditation. It has a specific purpose here. All the meditations we practice so far are to take us to higher states of our spiritual being. But here we are looking at how we use it to anchor. So let's walk through the steps, and then we will practice a full anchoring meditation together today. And when we do our meditation, usually we sit back and we relax. We detach from our material surroundings. We let go of all our tensions, emotions, material thoughts. And we try to relax ourselves completely. And we've done that together. The next thing we do in our meditation is we focus on a beautiful setting of nature, and nature is oneness. So we usually go to the top of the mountain that is surrounded by snow-capped mountains, that has the green grass, that has flowers, trees. We have a lake in the middle. The morning sun is blue, and you can even, its rays cause dewdrops to sparkle. It's a very vibrant setting of nature. So that's the next step. So we go into that oneness of nature. The next step we do is to clear our mind of all our thoughts. And there we look at the bird cage next to the lake, and the cage is filled with beautiful little colorful birds, lots and lots of them, moving around in a chaotic way, noisily. The thoughts are the birds. The cage is our mind. And so then we open the cage and we let all these noisy birds go chirping away into the horizon till they disappear, leaving behind an empty cage, an empty mind, which we then cleanse. Then the next step is we go into this crystal clear lake, and we see the water, we walk into it until the water reaches our knees, and it has little waves and ripples, and then we go into repeating stillness, the word stillness, until the water becomes so still that we can see our reflection in it. The whole lake becomes like a mirror, That's where you reach the level of complete stillness. Then the final step is we go into silence, when everything is completely still. And then we repeat silence and we reach that level of pure silence and pure stillness. We are now at the level of the intellect. When you reach that level, you are right at the intellect. And that's how that level connects us to our higher self. So that's the meditation process. Now, when we get to that level of the intellect, we anchor the intention. We anchor oneness by repeating the word anchor oneness. And we repeat that and we proceed with that process of anchoring oneness in our intellect, which then flows into our lower level mind, higher level mind, and higher up. That's how we anchor. And we let this oneness reverberate from the higher self, where our life energy originates, all the way down to the higher level mind and lower level mind, and also to all the cells of our body, our entire emotional body, our entire physical body. And wherever our life energy is present, it's now anchored in oneness. Once we have anchored the thought of oneness in our intellect and life energy, then we begin to focus on the words next, I am oneness. And we repeat that in very slow rhythm, I am oneness, which basically enables us to individually embrace and merge ourselves into the oneness that is anchored in our entire being, our complete state of being. And so when we embrace that, and we then become oneness ourselves, so we are now oneness. And once we have become this foundation thought, we have become oneness, and I usually refer to the words I am oneness as the anchor thought, which pervades through our anchored intention into the oneness of oneness. Once we have finished the anchoring, we come out of our meditation and flow into life with oneness and its energy and vibration firmly anchored in our complete being. And so let us look at one further dimension of this anchor before we actually practice one. Our physical state of being resides in the material world. Let us call this our external presence. Our mental and spiritual state of being resides within us. Let us call this our internal presence. Physical presence, you can see, it's external presence. Internal presence is our mental and spiritual state of being. So when we anchor fully in oneness, our internal presence has become oneness. And this internal presence of oneness projects itself outwards into our external presence in an energetic form or presence. So that oneness projects from us outwards. Now let me explain this through a simple analogy. Think of your internal presence as a house, and your external presence as the garden that surrounds the house. So when someone visits your house, they first encounter the garden. And if this garden projects the oneness anchored within the house, then whoever comes into your garden will feel that love and unifying force of oneness in your garden. He or she will feel loved and wanted and happy to be with you in your garden, or your surrounding space, as many may call it. So your anchor of oneness impacts, apart from being anchored internally, impacts people who come into your surrounding space as well, in a very positive way. And their encounter with you will tend to be positive and harmonious, and they won't even know why. So in summary, through anchoring thought, we can create not only an inner state of being, which is the house, but also an outer state of being, which is the garden or your so-called surrounding space. What is important to remember is that you are the gardener. You are the one that decides what your garden should be like. And whatever you decide it should be, anchor that thought in your complete being. And that's what your garden and surrounding space will project. Whatever you anchor within, is what you're going to project around you. I'm sure you've all come across people that make you feel very good and loved as you enter their surrounding space. You want to be with them for as long as possible. Even if they don't utter a word, you feel that. It is the energy of their beautiful garden that draws you to them. Then there are people whose presence, when we come in, we become very uncomfortable. I remember when I was at university, it was late night. I just had a little table lamp on. I was working, and suddenly I felt like someone had stuck daggers in my back. And I thought, what is this? And I turn around, and I see a guy who's wandered onto our floor. He was imitating or impersonating a Hare Krishna monk. I don't think he was, but he really was one. It was just a scam, but he was impersonating a Hare Krishna monk. Eyebrows, completely shaved off. He looked absolutely weird. But I hadn't seen him, but I felt him, that space. And of course, I asked him to leave, and he left. But this is what they were doing, was trying to sell you pamphlets, collect the money, and then go drink from there. So even that presence, as they're walking, their garden stuck daggers in my back, and I didn't want to have anything to do with them. So it can be on the very good side, very positive side, or the very negative side. And you have all experienced this, I'm sure. So such people who are negative are anchored subconsciously in very negative thoughts and intentions, and it projects in their surroundings, making people want to keep away from them. So it's all about how a person's state of being is anchored. If you do nothing about what I've just shared with you, and you wind the clock back a few days, and let's say you watched an hour of BBC News, and I remember recently Karima and I we were in a hotel, and I watched news for 1 hour, and I said to her, do you realize that in the last 1 hour we haven't heard a single good thing? Everything was just bad. So let's say you've done that, for example. And if 95% of everything that you heard in 1 hour is bad news, you see clips of injustice, crime, death, suffering, you will be angry. You will be fearful. You will be frustrated or sad. And you will be unknowingly anchored into them. And your surrounding space will project these anchored thoughts that have been planted in you subconsciously. And chances are people won't want to be around you. And you will feel down for a long time until someone comes along and lights a positive spark in you. So we experience this all the time. So remember, we are the gardeners, and we plant in our garden what we wish to be. We are the ones in control. So don't let anyone plant anchors in our being that are contrary to what we want to be. We should all be aware of these hidden anchors that are being subliminally planted in us. And we should identify them, and we should reject them. And we should anchor our own thoughts, which, by the way, will also enable us to repel negativity and fear. Because if our bookshelf is full of positive books, there's no room left for negative ones. I did a weekend workshop in London many years back where we learned how to work with our complete state of being, both inner and outer. And we had some very interesting experiences that the people who attended shared. One of them was a lady who was having tremendous problems at work. Because she was very good at what she did, it threatened her colleagues, and everyone was trying to drag her down. And so she learned the art of I am oneness, and she learned the art of anchoring oneness, which I'm going to now share with you today. I've just shared with you, I've talked you through it, but we're going to practice one together. But she started practicing that and creating her surrounding space, her garden, in oneness. And in her same work environment, things began to change, because when people would be with her, they didn't feel threatened. They felt loved. They felt wanted. And so her entire dynamic and her career changed as a result of creating that space of harmony around her that removed all fear and threat. And things really improved for her at work, and she shared her experience with us, and it didn't take very long. It took a month. There was another person who attended the workshop, and he went to see his banker, and he was bound to get rejected. But he went in with confidence, and he anchored himself in oneness, and he created the surrounding space of oneness. And he was received very differently. The outcome was very different. It worked out in his favor. So anchoring yourself and creating your surrounding space within and outside, you can change the dynamics of everything. One time Karima and I were flying from Vancouver. We were going to Asia. And this is many years ago. And we had this one lady. What had happened was that they made changes and we could not get onto our scheduled flight. So we got to this desk, and this lady was extremely rude. And we were saying to her, please help reconnect us onto another flight so we can fly to Asia. We were going to Singapore. And she was just totally impossible to deal with. And she said, you have to pay more, A, B, C. And she went into her office, and while she turned and went into her office, I anchored into oneness. And I created that space of oneness, harmony, love, gratitude, deep gratitude. When she came into that space, she felt it. And all of a sudden, even her face, the anger on her face was gone. She was calm, she was pleasant. She did everything we needed to do, and we proceeded on our journey. And then I was talking to Karima, she said, what happened there? And I said, I anchored in the right energy so that she was, number one, her negativity got dispelled. And number two, she was highly cooperative because she could feel that gratitude, that love, that oneness. So we have this tool. Please use it. So through anchoring our complete state of being, we are all able to fully govern our body, mind, and self exactly as we seek. We were never supposed to bounce around like dust particles in a cyclone. That is such a waste of a life. Remember, we can maintain complete control over our state of being. We can anchor into whatever we choose. This is our blessing. And let us start by using it, starting today. And this is how we can individually and collectively change our world to become the thoughts that we anchor. If we want to end conflict and war and have peace every moment of our lives, let us anchor ourselves in peace. And during the day, after you've done your anchoring, keep reminding yourself of that anchor thought of peace. Place signs on your computer screen and on your home to remind you. But the good news is that when we anchor properly in the intellect, with the steps I've just shared, even if you forget during the day, you are so deeply entrenched in it that you are at peace. But remembering it always reinforces it. It's a good thing. Let us now practice together the process of anchoring peace. Let's together anchor peace, okay? So step 1, choosing the thought, and we have chosen peace. Step 2, energizing our thought and raising its vibration level and power. And we do this by contemplating the word peace. We start with, what is peace? So, in our contemplation, the first thought that comes to me is, peace is a state of pure equilibrium, free of all conflict. So let us think of our world, which is rife with war and conflict, like a blazing fire. And then we pour cool water on this fire and soothing everything, and the fire is now extinguished. So you visualize a highly conflicted world like a blazing flame. And then you pour this cool water that's soothing, that ends the fire, and everything now is calm, state of calmness. That is peace. And as you think of the fire being extinguished, it feels good from within. Take the time and stay with that feeling, that good feeling that comes from extinguishing the fire. That is peace. Take the time to be in it. That's how you will energize the word. Second point is, peace is a state of pure tranquility and calmness. So you think of a beautiful garden with a lake that is totally still, a pond that is totally still. Everything is calm. Everything is beautiful. It feels good. Take the time to feel the goodness of that peace. Then in our contemplation, the third one that comes to me is, peace is a natural state of our soul. We are the peace. And I've done a webinar on what is eternal peace, where we talk about many dimensions of peace. Please revisit the video of that. But it is a natural state of our soul. We are the peace. So think about it from a spiritual context. It'll feel good. Feel that peace. Stay in that peace. Everything about you will be calming down during this contemplation. And the word peace be gaining more and more power and vibration. The next point that comes in contemplation to me is that peace is where every aspect of our being is tranquil and undisturbed. Tranquil and undisturbed, like water that is completely still. Someone asked me in Australia, what does it feel like to anchor peace? And I gave them a very short analogy saying, let's say that you are in a boat and you're in a stormy sea and your boat is bouncing around and you're really worried and scared that it's going to capsize and it's going to be your last day. But then, in the midst of that, you drop an anchor into the ocean and it goes down and it anchors the boat firmly in that ocean. How does it feel? Suddenly you feel safe. You feel secure. You have hope. You know that despite the storm, you are safe. You will be well. You are at peace. That's what anchoring peace is. One of the dimensions of anchoring peace is. It gives you that security, that strength, that hope. So stability, security, and hope that comes from anchoring the boat in the stormy sea, these are all very comforting. And we know we will be okay. So that's a dimension of peace. I've just shared with you 4 contemplative thoughts, and you can come up with your own when you contemplate whatever you wish to anchor. But my goal is to convey to you the technique. So as you start anchoring yourself in peace every day, you will start feeling very, very differently. And so through this contemplative process, we have raised the vibration level and energy level of peace. And we have taken the time now to internalize this peace. So now we go to the third step, which is creating the intention to anchor peace. So think of the intention. The intention is to anchor peace, anchor the power of peace in your intellect. Think of this anchor. Visualize this anchor, causing peace to flow upwards to your soul, higher self, downwards through your body, your higher level mind, your lower level mind. Visualize this peace flowing through every cell in your being. Take the time to visualize this powerful anchor which you're going to firmly plant in your complete state of being. Your intention is for your complete state of being, inner and outer, to become peace. Your intention is to become the peace. So that's our intention. And the final step is, now we go to step 4, which is to proceed with implementing our intention of anchoring peace. So we have to start from the highest level of our being, and through meditation achieve that connection with the highest level of our being, and then we come down to the lower levels of the being, and we do that through meditation. So we now together are going to anchor peace in a meditation. It's a short meditation. So sit back, relax, Close your eyes and breathe freely. Be at complete peace. Let go of all your worries, all your tensions. Breathe in peace. Be completely relaxed, completely at peace. Take a couple of moments to be at peace, to feel the peace. And I'd like you to imagine you're standing on top of a beautiful tall mountain. This mountain is surrounded by snow-capped peaks of other mountains around you, and you're in the middle. The morning sky is blue, the morning sun is shining. There's grass around you which has dewdrops, and the grass is sparkling in the dewdrops. There's trees, there's flowers, there's birds. Nature is so vibrant. And then in front of you, you also see this beautiful crystal clear lake of water, also sparkling in the morning sun. Take a moment and connect with this vibrant nature. Connect with its oneness. And then you start walking towards the lake. But just before you reach its shore, to your right-hand side you see a tree stump that is the height of your waist. And on the tree stump is a beautiful golden cage. And in the cage it is filled with beautiful little colorful birds, tiny little birds, flying around the cage, chirping away loudly. The cage is filled with chaos from these birds. The cage is your mind. The colorful birds, noisy birds are your thoughts. So it is time to let them go. And you open the door of the cage and you let them fly out. And watch them fly away and disappear noisily into the horizon as you repeat, release and empty. Release and empty. Release and empty. Keep repeating these words as your cage begins to empty out completely. Release and empty. Release and empty. The cage is now completely empty. The birds are gone. Your mind is empty. And you wish to cleanse your mind. So you repeat the word cleanse. 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 Keep repeating this word, cleanse. Cleanse, cleanse. Your mind is empty and cleansed. And you now walk into the lake until the water reaches your knees. And as you look at your knees, you see the water has little ripples and waves. but you wish that this water go completely still, so still that you can see the reflection of your face on it as if it were a mirror. So you repeat the word stillness. 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 Keep repeating this word as the water goes completely still. Stillness. Stillness. The water is now completely still. You can see your reflection in the water. You can see the reflection of the morning blue sky. The whole lake is still like a mirror. You are completely still. You are in pure stillness. And in this stillness, you now repeat the word silence. 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 Keep repeating this word as you go completely silent from within. Silence. Silence. You are completely still, in pure silence. Your mind is empty. You are now at the level of your intellect. You are connected to your higher self. And you now plant your anchor of peace in your intellect by repeating the word anchor, peace. Anchor, peace. Anchor, peace. Keep repeating these words. Anchor, peace. Anchor, peace. You have now anchored peace in your intellect. And this peace is anchored and flows to your higher self, upwards, to your mind and your lower mind and your entire body and every cell downwards. Anchor, peace. And you now repeat the words, I am peace. I am peace. I am peace. Keep repeating these words as you become one with the anchor you have planted. You completely merge into the anchor of peace. Your complete state of being becomes the peace. I am peace. I am peace. You have now anchored peace in your complete being, and peace is now your complete state of being. I am peace. And you may open your eyes whenever you wish and take a moment to stay in the peace that you have anchored. That is peace, pure peace. And once you have anchored yourself in that peace, you go and flow into life and go through your daily activities, but you are now peace. You are one with peace. And this peace will stay with you. So this is the technique for us all to take charge of our own state of being. Today we did it with peace. Today we also walked through how we do it with oneness. But you can choose all the other states of being that you wish for. Abundance, clarity, if you're going to make important decisions. And you anchor yourself in them. And you also create that space around you. And with that, we can all go forward in a much more empowered way, fully in charge of our lives, not letting anyone plant anchors subliminally in us. We choose, we become, we are. So I'd like to thank you very much for being here today, for bringing your positive energy, your light, your love to the meditation, to the event. I pray that the light of our Creator may always be with you, to help you, guide you, protect you, and love you.